Hello beautiful humans and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Kayla and today I am here for you with my June TBR. So I have 11 books this month, 9 that are physically here, 2 that are on their way to me and are also June releases. So they'll be my special bonus books for YouTube. I tend to give y'all some extra June release or monthly releases in the video that I don't post on Bookstagram or TikTok. So there's that. But I have 9 physical books here to talk about. It's kind of an even mix of books that I've just been wanting to read and books that are intentionally, I mean, they're also books I've just been wanting to read, but they're intentionally chosen for June because it is Pride Month. So there's 5 books that are by LGBTQ authors or about LGBTQ characters, or both. Most of them are both. And then just a random collection of other books that have been on my TBR, but 5 that were intentionally chosen for Pride Month. If you want to hear more Pride Month, I mean, at any Pride Month recs, because these obviously are books I have not read yet, I will be doing an episode of my podcast with my friend Corey, Ghost Light Books, that should be out next weekend, where we're gonna do our Pride Month recs, which may include some of these because I may have finished them by the time we record, but stay tuned for that because it should be a very good episode and give you some great books to read. So let's just get into it. I'm just gonna grab, I think the pile closest to me is the not intentionally Pride Month pile. So we're just gonna start there and work our way through the books. So first up, we have Romancing Mr. Bridgerton by Julia Quinn. This was on the May TBR. I did not get to it in May. I am recording this on June 5th. And I did actually get around to this week, but I did read it in June, so I'm including it on the TBR. This is Colin's book, and I cried like a baby, so there's your rec. You'll hear more about it in the next Read with Kayla, but I needed to finish a Bridgerton book this month, and I'm up to Colin, so the next one I'll read will be Eloise's, but that'll be for the July TBR. Okay. Next up is the book I'm currently reading. That's the problem with, you know, recording this couple days in to the month. But that is The Soulmate Equation by Christina Lauren. And this just came out in May, I believe. But let's read about it. All right. Single mom Jessica Davis is a data and statistics wizard, but no amount of number crunching can convince her to step back into the dating world. Raised by her grandparents, who now help her raise her 7-year-old daughter Juno, Jess has been left behind too often to feel comfortable letting anyone in. After all, her father was never around, her hard-partying mother disappeared when she was 6, and her ex decided he wasn't father material before Juno was even born. Jess holds her loved ones close, but working constantly to stay afloat is hard and lonely. But then Jess hears about Genetic Ally, or Genetically, a buzzy new DNA-based matchmaking company that's predicted to change dating forever. Finding a soulmate through DNA, the reliability of the numbers. This, Jess understands. At least she thought she did, until her test shows an unheard of 98% compatibility with another subject in the database. One of Genetically's founders, Dr. River Pena. This is one number she can't wrap her head around because she already knows Dr. Pena. The stuck-up, stubborn man is without a doubt not her soulmate, but Genetically has a proposition. Get to know him and we'll pay you. Jess, who is barely making ends meet, is in no position to turn it down, despite her skepticism about the project and her dislike for River. As the pair are dragged from one event to the next, as the diamond match that could launch Genetically's valuation sky high, Jess begins to realize that there might be more to the scientist and the science behind a soulmate than she thought. So that is The Soulmate Equation by Christina Lauren. I love Christina Lauren books. They're just always pretty feel-good romances. They do enemies, or not necessarily enemies, but not favorite people to lovers really well. So I'm really excited to keep reading this one. Next up was, I think this was my May book of the month. Maybe, could be. I don't remember what month this came in. It's Ariadne by Jennifer Saint. I was trying to get to it in May. I did not. So now I'm gonna try and get to it in June. So, Ariadne, Princess of Crete, grows up in up greeting the dawn from her beautiful dancing floor and listening to her nursemaid stories of gods and heroes. But beneath her golden palace echo the ever-present hoofbeats of her brother, the Minotaur, a monster who demands blood sacrifice. When Theseus, the prince of Athens, arrives to vanquish the beast, Ariadne sees in his green eyes not a threat but an escape. Defying the gods, betraying her family and country, and risking everything for love, she helps Theseus kill the Minotaur. But will her decision ensure her happy ending? And what of Phaedra, the beloved younger sister she leaves behind? What about her? We'll find out. So that was my May book of the month. Right? It says, did they not say the months on them anymore? Oh, it's on the back. Yeah, that was May. So that is Ariadne. Sticking, I guess, to Greece, I am a huge nerd, and one of my favorite, it's a series, is the Disney Twisted Tales. I love them, and one of my favorite Disney animated movies has always been and will always be Hercules, and now we have Go the Distance, whose tagline is, what if Meg had to become a Greek god? I'm so excited for this. So excited for this. Also, just like look at this cover with Hades. So good. Anyway, let's read about it. After Hercules proves he's a true hero and regains his godhood, all seems right in the world. That is, until Zeus tells Megara that she can't be with Hercules because she's, well, mortal. Luckily, Hera has a solution. Oh gosh, Hera's solutions can never be a good thing. Offering Meg a chance to prove herself worthy of a spot on Mount Olympus as a god. All Meg has to do is complete a mysterious quest. The quest? Oh, just rescue her ex-boyfriend's wife from the underworld. The ex-boyfriend she saved by selling her soul to Hades. The ex-boyfriend who immediately moved on to someone else while Meg was stuck in the underworld. Can Meg put her past behind her and use her quick wit to defeat monsters and gods alike, including the nefarious Hades? Will she finally figure out where she belongs and what she has to offer? Or will her fear of commitment have her running away from an eternity of godhood with Herc? I'm so excited. This makes me so happy. Actually, one of my theater students' parents turned me on to this series. She sent me I don't remember which one she sent me. I think it was the Frozen one was the first one she sent me. It was like, you have to read these. And now I'm obsessed. And she's currently reading this one and says it's pretty good so far. So I'm very excited. Okay, on to the Pride Month pile. So first up, we've got Perfect on Paper by Sophie Gonzalez. Look at this cover. This is gorgeous. Okay. Darcy Phillips can offer you the solution to any of your relationship woes for a fee. Uses her power for good most of the time. Really cannot stand Alexander Brogum. Has maybe not the best judgment when it comes to her best friend Brooke, who is in love with someone else. Does not appreciate being blackmailed. However, when Brogum catches her in the act of collecting letters from Locker 89, out of which she's been running her questionably legal anonymous relationship advice service, that's exactly what happens. In exchange for keeping her secret, Darcy begrudgingly agrees to become his personal dating coach, at a generous hourly rate at least. The goal? To help him win his ex-girlfriend back. Darcy has a good reason to keep her identity secret. If word gets out that she's behind the locker, some things she's not proud of will come to light, and there's a good chance Brooke will never speak to her again. Okay, so all she has to do is help an entitled, bratty, annoyingly hot guy win over a girl who's already fallen in love for him once. What could go wrong? So that is Perfect on Paper by Sophie Gonzalez. The summary doesn't say this, but the main character is bisexual, so that's why it falls into this pile. I know that was like, wait, what? But there you go. Next up was my February book of the month choice that I still have not gotten to, and that is Honey Girl by Morgan Rogers. Which I may have already read this on a TBR list, I don't know, but I'm still gonna read it again. With her newly completed PhD in astronomy in hand, Grace Porter goes on a girls' trip to Vegas to celebrate. She's a straight-A, hardworking high achiever. She's not the kind of person who goes to Vegas and gets drunkenly married to a woman whose name she doesn't know, until she does exactly that. This one beautiful, spontaneous moment upends Grace's carefully laid life plans. Staggering under the weight of her parents' expectations, a struggling job market, and feelings of burnout, Grace flees her home in Portland for a summer in New York with the wife she barely knows. In New York, she's able to ignore all the constant questions about her future and falls hard for her creative and gorgeous wife, Yuki Yamamoto. But when reality comes crashing in, and Grace must face what she's been running from all along, the fears that make us human and the need for connection, especially when navigating the messiness of adulthood. I'm very excited to finally read this. Next up, I think was this in my April or May TBR? I don't remember which one it was. I still haven't gotten to it. But we have A Dark and Hollow Star by Ashley Shuttleworth. Like, oh, just look at this color. This cover. I think this is the character Nausicaa. I could be wrong. It doesn't say on the inside any of the character names, but I think if I remember what I've heard about this book correctly, that's who that is. And I have read this on here before, I know, but I'm gonna read it again. Choose your player, the Ironborn half-fae outcast of her royal fae family, a tempestuous fury exiled to Earth from the immortal realm and hell-bent on revenge, a dutiful fae prince determined to earn his place on the throne, the prince's brooding guardian burdened with a terrible secret. For centuries, the 8 courts of folk have lived among us, concealed by magic and bound by law to do no harm to humans. This arrangement has long kept peace in the courts until a series of gruesome and ritualistic murders rocks the city of Toronto and threatens to expose fairies to the human world. 4 queer teens, each holding a key piece of the truth behind these murders, must form a tenuous alliance in their effort to track down the mysterious killer behind these crimes. If they fail, they risk the destruction of the fairy and human worlds alike. If that's not bad enough, there's a war brewing between the mortal and immortal realms, and one of these teens is destined to tip the scales. The question is, which way? Wish them luck. They're going to need it. So that is A Dark and Hollow Star, and I am obsessed with this cover. It's so pretty. All right, next up, this is one, I don't think I've talked about it on a TBR, but I definitely have showed it in the Target haul because this was just like a random picked up at Target book. Because why not? So this is Boyfriend Material by Alexis Hall. Wanted, one fake boyfriend, practically perfect in every way. Well, that's a big ask. Luke O'Donnell is tangentially and reluctantly famous. His rock star parents split when he was young, and the father he's never met spent the next 20 years cruising in and out of rehab. Now that his dad is making a comeback, Luke's back in the public eye, and one compromising photo is enough to ruin everything. To clean up his image, Luke has to find a nice, normal relationship, and Oliver Blackwood is as nice and normal as they come. He's a barrister and an ethical vegetarian, and he's never inspired a moment of scandal in his life. In other words, perfect boyfriend material. Unfortunately, apart from being gay, single, and really in need of a date for a big event, Luke and Oliver have nothing in common. So they strike a deal to become publicity-friendly, fake boyfriends until the dust is settled. Then they can go their separate ways and pretend it never happened. But the thing about fake dating is that it can feel a lot like real dating. And that's when you start to get used to someone, start falling for them, don't ever want to let them go. Y'all know I love a fake dating trope. I'm very excited for this. Fake dating is probably my favorite trope because it always ends in the best romance. So I'm very excited for this one. Okay, and then we have another, I'm recording this on June 5th, so I've already read it book, so I'll try not to say too much. I'll just, you know, say that I enjoyed it and read the summary. But this book came out on June 1st. I bought it. It got here on Thursday, and I read it yesterday in one sitting, and that is One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston. I've been so excited for this book, and it was really good. But again, you have to wait to hear more about how I felt about it in the next Read with Kayla. But let me tell you about this book. For cynical 23-year-old August, moving to New York City is supposed to prove her right, that things like magic and cinematic love stories don't exist, and that the only smart way to go through life is alone. She can't imagine how waiting tables at a 24-hour pancake diner and moving in with too many weird roommates could possibly change that. And there's certainly no chance of her subway commute being anything more than a daily trudge through boredom and electrical failures. But then, there's this gorgeous girl on the train. Jane. Dazzling, charming, mysterious, impossible Jane. Jane with her rough edges and swoopy hair and soft smile, showing up in a leather jacket to save August's morning when she needs it most. August's subway crush becomes the best part of her day, but pretty soon she discovers there's one big problem. Jane doesn't just look like an old school punk rocker. She's literally displaced in time from the 1970s, and August is going to have to use everything she tried to leave in her own past to help Jane. Maybe it's time to start believing in some things after all. So that is One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston. It was very good, but again, you gotta wait for the Read with Kayla to hear more about my thoughts on that book. So the other 2 books are my Book of the Month picks. There were so many. I honestly could have gotten all 5 this month. Book of the Month had so many good June picks, but I only picked 2. And they were both June releases I was excited to read, so it's perfect. The first one is Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid, which I'm very excited to read. And the other is Instructions for Dancing by Nicola Yoon. So those should be here, I think today, but just not before I had to film, so I don't have them in hand. But those are also on my June TBR, and I'm very excited to read both of them. It's an ambitious TBR. Feeling good that I've already finished 2 of them, so I'm kind of starting off at an advantage, but we'll see. June does get a little busy for me, so I don't know if I'll have time to finish all these, but I'm excited to try. So let me know in the comments what you are going to be reading this month. Give this video a big old thumbs up if you like it. Make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss any of my videos, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye!